Hello, this is OverlordBou, back with another ship review video, and today we'll be looking at the new Tier 8 German battleship, the Anhalt. Now, the Anhalt will be released on September 16th, available in the Premium Shop and Armory for 12,800 doubloons. Now, I'll be going over the recommended setup, followed by the ship's stats, and finally her overall performance. First up is the captain build and upgrades will be shown on the top right. Now, the build is not like the normal secondary German battleship build that most are used to. Now, this is due to the fact that there are almost more main guns on this ship than secondaries. So it's definitely best to focus on the main guns and tankiness. Because again, even though you do get the more accurate like German secondaries and of course the higher pen and the damage, it's better just to focus on the main guns since there are so many main guns on this ship. Way better to focus on those. Now let's talk about the ship stats, starting with her armor and survivability. Now the armor scheme will be shown on the top right. She has a 32mm bow/stern with a 200mm belt that extends partway into the bow and stern section, with a 50mm deck and a 69,500 HP width. And now it does have a relatively small superstructure, a waterline citadel protected by the German turtleback, and it has a 20% torpedo protection system. Now, the Anhalt is well protected, even compared to other battleships like other German BBs. Her waterline citadel is difficult to hit. Unlike many other BBs, her upper armor belt extends high above the waterline, making Anhalt extremely resistant to HE pen damage. Though her torpedo protection is mediocre, she should prove difficult to kill even with enemy-focused fire. Now, throughout this match and whenever I was playing this ship in general, as you can see in this ship, the superstructure is pretty small, so it's really, in the sense the deck is the 50mm deck. It does have a lot of tankiness in that regard for it being a tier 8. Very, very tanky from HE spam, which is very common, and it also can tank well against battleship shells as well. I found this ship very tanky for it being a tier 8. I found it very tanky. I just wanted to point that out there. Now, for her main guns, you get 5 triple 350mm/45 guns with 15 guns in total, with a range of 21.1 kilometers, a 30-second base reload, a 45-second 180 turret traverse, and can fire 35 degrees off the bow and 35 degrees off of the stern. It has a 4,000 HE shell damage with an 88mm HE pen, a 27% fire chance, and 120k HE DPM. It has 9,500 AP shell damage with a 24mm overmatch, with a 45 through 60 degree ricochet angle, and a 285k AP DPM. Now, you do have a 1.7 Sigma as well. Now, the dispersion for the Anhalt will be shown on the top right as I go over the gun characteristics. Now, the Anhalt's guns are quite unusual, being more comparable to a large cruiser than other battleships. Her HE is fairly powerful with a good fire chance, though her BB accuracy can sometimes let her down. AP is usable against broadside ships, but suffers from poor penetration and lack of overmatch. The biggest drawbacks of her are the slow shell flight times. Now, the Anhalt shells are slower than North Carolina shells and roughly on par with Alaska ballistics, just to compare it. Now, this negates her long main battery gun range, focusing her to get closer to ensure hits. Overall, the Anhalt's gunnery is subpar. Though she is a decent HE spammer, her poor shell ballistics greatly hinder her effectiveness past 14 kilometers. Moving on, let's talk about her secondaries. Now, she gets 8 150mm/45 guns and 6 twin 105/65 guns, and they have a base range of 7.6 kilometers and 11.5 kilometers max range, and you do get the improved German secondary dispersion. Though Anhalt is a German battleship, her secondary performance is poor due to lack of guns. Do not invest into her secondaries, they will only disappoint. Mostly due to the end, there aren't that many guns. You can't really utilize it in the end to its fullest potential due to the fact there aren't enough guns. Now, for the torpedoes, you get 4 times 700mm torpedoes that do 20,633 damage and have a 6 kilometer range, 54 knot speed, and 45-second reload. Now, the Anhalt gets underwater torpedoes similar to the Royal Navy battlecruiser line. Other than the Mimi torpedo size, its performance is similar to other German BB torpedoes. Good for close range drive-bys, but not much else really. Now, next up is her anti-air. She does get 5 inner plus 1 out for the flak. The long range DPS for this anti-air, it's 123. For the mid, it's 182, and the near, it is 294. And the range of the anti-air goes to 5.2 kilometers. Now, as expected of a German BB, Anhalt's anti-air is mediocre. She can barely hold off a tier 6 CV planes, let alone the tier 8 or even a tier 10 CVs. Just dodge and hope they don't use AP dive bombers against you. Now, as for her anti-air submarine capabilities, you get maximum charges of 2, with the number of depth charge chains being 6. I'm sorry, depth charge attack being 6, so 6 per depth charge. And the damage is 2800 with a reload time of 30 seconds and a range of 10. Now, the Anhalt's ASW airstrikes is actually quite good, as she can drop twice the depth charges as other ships. With a good aim, you can reliably cripple enemy subs. Now, let's cover her maneuverability. She has a max speed of 25 knots with a 900 meter turning radius and a 16-second rudder shift. Now, Anhalt's other big weakness is her poor maneuverability. That's why you want to take risk. She is one of the slowest BBs while having a poor turning ability. It's like trying to drive a brick on an icy road. It isn't going to end too well. Now, moving on, let's move on to her concealment. She has a base surface detection, aerial detection of being 15 kilometers and 11.5 kilometers base. When you build into it, you do get the 12.2 kilometer surface detection and a 9.3 kilometer best air detection. Now, for a German BB, her concealment is actually quite good. Her low concealment is a major advantage as it offsets her poor main gun ballistics. Now, she can get close to other cruisers before opening fire and hopefully punishing their broadsides as they try to kite away or turn into you. Now, finally, let's go over her consumables list. She gets a standard German battleship damage control party with a 15-second immunity period and an 80-second reload time. It does get a standard BB repair party, which heals 14% base of the total HP over 20 seconds. If you have the signal flat, it goes to 17.6%. It does get 4 charges, 5 if you use superintendent, and these do have an 80-second reload time. Now, for spotter, yeah, you can pick between a spotter plane or a fighter. I would definitely choose the spotting plane, so you can kind of lob your shells over islands better. So like if someone's on an island, you can use a spotter to look above. Definitely a good choice in there. You do get 4 charges base, plus 20% main bounty firing range, 100-second active time, and a 240-second reload. For the fighters, you do get 3 base charges, and you're able to shoot down 3 aircraft since there's 3 fighters launched per charge. They have a 60-second active time and a 90-second cooldown. Now, this is pretty much a standard BB consumable loadout, nothing noteworthy. Now, they don't have the sonar. There is no sonar of the typical German battleships, like the over in the tech tree line for the Bismarck, and the Schlieffen line. So just to confirm there, they don't have the sonar. So that's kind of why it's better to build it longer range as well. Not longer range, is you're build to build the ship more longer range. You don't build for secondaries as much due to the fact that you don't have sonar. Usually if you have sonar, you're able to push in more, be more aggressive, but since you don't have that here, it's definitely more of an incentive to not be as aggressive and be more of a kiting ship or being further back. Now let's go over my overall impressions. I think the skill floor is pretty low, and the skill ceiling is medium, mostly due to her poor shell ballistics. Now, the Anhalt is another tier 8 German BB among the millions we already have in the game. I can't even name them all. There's actually an insane amount of them. Now, however, her gimmick is that she isn't actually a BB. Rather, she's a generic large cruiser with a German BB hull being extremely tanky. Now, she performs best under 12 kilometers as it offsets her slow shells. HE is the preferred ammo due to her high fire chance and respectable alpha, but don't forget the AP against broadside cruisers and BBs under 8 kilometers. But again, you don't want to get super close due to the sonar. Not the sonar, since you lack the sonar. So normally you want to stay a little further back. You can HE spam, or if you want it to be gutsy and when you're pushing in, you can use AP to get those broadsides. Now, her excellent armor helps her survive prolonged close-range combat, even allowing for some torpedo drive-bys if the situation calls for it. Unfortunately, her performance drops off at higher tiers or in CV games, as she is not suited for the long-range meta. If you find yourself up-tiered, it is best to play safe and spam HE for consistent damage. You're not able, like this ship, you do have to try to play it like a little longer range, or sometimes you get close. But the thing is, at higher tiers though, you're definitely gonna get a little bit, like, since the range of the ships are super long at the higher tiers, like all the cruisers and the battleships are probably gonna start farming it pretty far. But since there's been a lot of tier 8 ships running around recently, but yeah, if you find yourself up tiered, again, it's definitely best to play safe and spam HE for consistent damage at longer distances. Now, overall, Anhalt is a safe, if somewhat bland ship. She's very forgiving for newer players, but poor gunnery will frustrate better players. Now, for randoms, I would say it's mediocre. It scales better when down-tiered, but suffers horribly in high-tier matches and CV games. Ranked, I say, is mediocre, not really wise to use it here, and for clan battles, its potential, used due to her excellent durability and reasonable concealment. So, you may see it in upcoming clan battles, we'll see. And that is my review of the Anhalt. If you guys are interested in it, you guys can definitely get it starting on September 16th in the Armory or Premium shop for 12,800 doubloons. But yep, that is going to be it. If you guys have any questions or concerns, definitely leave them down in the comments down below. I do appreciate you guys leaving down comments, and I do appreciate you guys watching these videos. And thank you all for being here, and I'll talk to you guys later.